9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere. We're on the iHeartRadio app. We're on the TuneIn app. We're on the FM dial. You can watch the show as well. Super Talk TV is up, live, and rocking. We are on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. Our personal favorite's always going to be YouTube. We love those guys. All hail to the YouTube chat. Hit like, hit subscribe, and share the show with your friends. We appreciate it when you do so. Thank you for being here, however you may be listening, wherever you may be listening. This show wouldn't exist without you guys. So, again, thank you. It's been a crazy week, and we are just grateful for the audience that we have. Lot to cover today. Our friend Monica Paige is going to be joining us live from the White House North Lawn. That's going to be going down at 10:05. Monica has had an insane week. I cannot wait to talk to her. I saw her last weekend at Young Women's Leadership Summit, and she had a great speech on stage, and I was already excited. And she's like, "Yeah, Trump's going to get back from the G7 on Wednesday, and then we got a couple things going on, and it should be a great interview on Friday." And this was last weekend. So then Trump leaves the G7 early. We see the explosion and the division from the Iran-Israel conflict. We see new flagpoles. We see everything. The immigration numbers have been ridiculously good, and Monica Paige has had a front row seat for all of it. So she's going to join us again live from the White House North Lawn at 10:05. Really, really looking forward to that conversation and the behind-the-scenes info that Monica can only provide here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Also, today, we got updates on immigration numbers. We got updates on immigration enforcement. And we got a little bit more on Israel and Iran. Now, you guys want to join the conversation all show long? Let's make it a bit of an agenda-free Friday. So what you want to talk about, we can talk about. 615-737-9986. There's been so much news this week that I'm sure that there are topics that we didn't get a chance to talk about that you did want to talk about, or something that we weighed in on briefly that you wanted to expand upon, or something you just want to revisit or discuss. 615-737-9986. We'll be taking your phone calls all show long, and we appreciate you joining the show and adding to it in that way. We, again, the fourth member of our team is always going to be you. I think you're the most important member of the team. So, join the show. Be a part of it, however you may be, whether it's on the phone lines or the text line at 615-737-9986 or over in the YouTube chat. I already see the YouTube chat is jumping. Again, hail to the YouTube chat. Hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate it. Let's begin today, though, with Israel and Iran. This is obviously going to be the big story, and obviously everybody's been paying attention to it. Both sides. I have not seen the MAGA base this divided ever, quite honestly. You have a whole contingent who say, listen, we got to do a regime change. Then you got a whole side that says that's not a good idea. We don't have a proven track record of being able to do that successfully. And then you have another group saying, well, they can't have a nuclear weapon, and that's kind of where they're laying and staying. So we would love to get your insight on it as well. Hey, I did jump into that link, just so you know. Louis is producing. Jay Harper is in the newsroom. It's just waiting for you to let me join, brother, on the Zoom. But we'll begin today with Carolyn Levitt. There was big news yesterday when it came to Donald Trump and what his game plan with Iran is. And what we found out is that Trump is taking a 2 more week approach. That's right. He's getting them 2 weeks notice. You're on notice for 2 weeks. So with that being said, Carolyn Levitt broke the news yesterday during the White House press briefing, and she just dropped the news on everybody.
Ongoing situation in Iran. I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. Regarding the
2 more weeks. That's the quote directly from the president. I'm going to make a decision within the next 2 weeks. Couple things at play here. I think Donald Trump is showing incredible restraint. I think that he absolutely has advisors and neocons chirping in his ear saying, hey, let's kill the Ayatollah. Let's go for a regime change. And those voices are consistent and persistent. He's showing incredible restraint. Another thing at play here is nobody knows what this guy's going to do. Nobody has any idea what he's going. Is he going to get involved offensively? Is he going to sit back and let Israel handle it? We have no idea. And that unpredictability is one of Donald Trump's greatest strengths. Let's be perfectly honest. It's been his strength his entire first term, and it's continuing to be a strength in the second term. I'm not mad about the posturing. I'm not mad about the unpredictability. I still don't want to get involved offensively. I think Israel can handle it. And if you listen to reports from individuals like the New York Times, they have a quote from Bibi Netanyahu. They printed this yesterday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel said on Thursday that Israel has the capability to achieve all of its goals alone when it comes to Iran's nuclear facilities, and that is up to President Trump if he wants to join in or not. I would just say, listen, if Bibi's saying that he can handle it on his own, what is the discussion about anyway? If Israel is telling us that they got this, then I think the best thing that we should do is believe them and let them do what they need to do. By all means, have at it. If you can handle it on your own, handle it on your own. I don't want America being dragged into another forever regime change war. I've made that statement and that case quite a few times. That being said, I respect the restraint that the president has shown. And I respect the way he's handling this foreign policy with that sense of Trump unpredictability. I think that's the best way to go about it. And then they asked Carolyn Levitt, okay, 2 more weeks, but are we actively talking with Iranian officials currently? Are we discussing game plans with them? Have we been going back and forth? What's the latest? Now, Carolyn Levitt said, as far as the correspondence goes, it's continuing. They're working on it, but she doesn't really have anything to read out. She said that they're engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them, both indirect and direct. That's what Carolyn Levitt said yesterday at the press briefing. We also heard from President Trump yesterday where he said, listen, Iran has reached out and they actually want to come to the White House. I know that this is what he said yesterday, which is pretty crazy. And something that I could absolutely see Donald Trump doing. But as far as communication goes, they're working on it. They're working on it indirectly. They've been both direct and indirect. This is Carolyn Levitt yesterday.
As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Indirect and direct ways. Now, but what does a deal with Iran look like? That's what one reporter wanted to know. And I think it's honestly kind of a dumb question, right? Because the president has laid this out over and over and over again. What do you need for peace? Well, they can't be enriching uranium and they can't have a nuclear weapon. Carolyn Levitt echoed that yesterday at the podium.
What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
I just wish that they would take Trump at his word when he says, "Listen, if you want peace and you want prosperity, this is the route." I don't think Donald Trump wants anything other than the best for all these countries around the world. I don't think he's secretly motivated to destroy Iran. I think when he says, guys, we can bring you into the first world with everybody else, but there's a couple things you got to do, I think he's honest and truthful about that. And I think he really does want to raise this country up. The best way to peace is with a bit of prosperity. And Donald Trump can bring that to the table. All they got to do is be willing to come to the table and work with them. It seems very simple. It does. I pray that we get there. I do. I pray that this works out in the most peaceful way possible. That being said, realistically, we have no idea how this is going to end. And chances are far greater that it ends in more bloodshed than it does negotiations and treaties, right? That's just the reality of the situation. But Carolyn Levitt, she says, if there is a chance for diplomacy, Trump is going to grab it, and Trump is going to run with it.
So the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add.
No, he's not. He's not, and everybody understands that. And I think that that's one of the biggest strengths going on right now, the unpredictability of Donald Trump. Nobody knows which direction he's going to go. No man knows. That decision rests solely with him, which, listen, a little nerve-wracking for parties involved, I'm sure. But how comforting it is to know that the decision rests with him and that we don't have a puppet in the White House like a Joe Biden or a Kamala Harris, who we don't really know who's pulling the strings and who's making those decisions. We do know today that Donald Trump is going to be making that decision. Within the next 2 weeks, we're going to find out. Iran's going to find out. And I do worry if they keep effing around, that chance of finding out is going to happen sooner rather than later. Again, I continue to pray for peace. Donald Trump isn't shy about letting you know how he got here, by the way. These issues started long before Donald Trump was in office. He put a Truth Social post out yesterday. If you could throw that up on the screen, Louis, the Truth Social post. It says, "We know who is responsible for Iran's nuke program." And then there's a bit of a meme, and it's one Barack Hussein Obama surrounded by pallets of cash. Yet we understand where these problems started. Like most of America's problems, it did start with Democrats. Weird how that always seems to happen. But the decision coming in 2 weeks. Now, before that 2-week notice was laid down, Donald Trump had a special visitor to the White House. And people are saying that special visitor may have influenced that 2-week notice. Who was the visitor? I'll tell you when we get back. It's 9:20. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
How would you like to have Jesus Christ pray for you? Did you know that Jesus Christ does pray for you if you're a Christian? Hebrews 7:25 says, "Therefore he is able also to save forever those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them." In Scripture, intercession means to pray on behalf of. Jesus Christ is your advocate. An advocate comes to our aid or pleads our case to a judge, offering support and counsel and interceding for us when necessary. In other verses, Jesus calls the Holy Spirit our advocate. Just like you talk to yourself, when Jesus talks to himself, it's prayer. The Bible says no matter what you go through today, next week, or next year, Jesus is praying for you if you have trusted him as your Savior. He's on your side.
Top diplomats set to meet in Geneva over the Iran-Israel conflict. A Fairview man, he's in custody after a run-in with police. And some Bonnaroo attendees, they want their money back. We'll have those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. We got our new guy producing, King Louie. What up, Louie? You doing all right, man?
I'm feeling good. How you feeling?
Man, we're good. We're good. Louis doing a great job behind the scenes, making sure everything sounds perfect coming out of your speakers. Salute that guy. Later on in the show, 10:05, Monica Paige is joining us live from the White House North Lawn. Looking forward to that. As always, Monica joins every week at that time. She's had a busy week at the White House, so definitely stay tuned for that conversation. Yesterday, we found out from Carolyn Leavitt, we had a direct message from the president where she said that we're going to find out what happens with Iran within the next 2 weeks. This was Carolyn Leavitt yesterday.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
Now, within the next 2 weeks, somebody on the super text line pointed out, well, that could mean tomorrow. That could mean he could bomb him tomorrow. That's within the next 2 weeks. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think Donald Trump is going to give it a little bit more time. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but hey, we'll have to wait and see on that. But before that announcement came out, it was reported that Donald Trump had a special visitor at the White House. That visitor was none other than Steve Bannon. Now, if you've been keeping score at home and paying attention to the conversation online, you understand that Steve Bannon is pretty much on Tucker's side when it comes to regime change in Iran. And Steve Bannon is really, really pushing back against the neocons. So a lot of people are saying, did Steve influence that decision? I think he very well could have. The USA Today caught up with Steve Bannon after that meeting, and they started asking him about these things. And he says, listen, the vast majority of MAGA would get on board, according to Steve Bannon, would get on board with strikes on Iran if Donald Trump went ahead with it. He said there will be some, but the vast majority of MAGA will go, look, we trust your judgment. You've walked us through this. We don't like it. In fact, maybe we hate it, but we'll get on board. I think that's pretty accurate. I do. I think that's pretty accurate. I think, again, knowing who we have in charge and knowing that he is in charge, even if you're against this, I think you go, all right, well, listen, I'm gonna stick with the guy that I came to the dance with. You know what I mean? But Bannon is definitely against regime change. Bannon has railed against the old Republican Party and media personalities, forever war types, who supported the Iraq invasion and other conflicts that a lot of the movement opposes. Steve Bannon has been a loud voice in this fight. Bannon, during this interview with USA Today, also chided Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, according to USA Today, for trying to present strikes on Iran as consistent with America First values. This is what he said. He said, I do believe that even as we speak, President Trump is looking for potential alternatives. Trump prefers optionality in his decision-making process. Minutes later at the White House, reporters were told that Trump has not made a decision. He may do it. He may not do it. Carolyn Leavitt says we're going to find out within 2 weeks. When asked if there was a schism about MAGA in the Oval Office, Trump said, listen, his supporters are America first. His supporters are for him. His supporters are for Make America Great Again. But I do believe Steve Bannon and personalities like Tucker and voices like yours who are saying, please, no regime change. Please stay out of it. I do believe that Donald Trump is listening to those voices. Will he side with them at the end of the day? I'm not sure. I have no idea. Nobody really knows. But I do believe he's at least listening. And for that, I thank him. Let's be perfectly honest. At least he's listening. Now, on the way, again, we got a lot more to cover when it comes to Israel and Iran. You are absolutely welcome to join the show, 615-737-9986. We're also going to talk a little about immigration a little bit, and then we'll have Monica Paige join the show at 10:05. A lot to get to, a lot to go through. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 9:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast for your weekend is on the way. Iran's foreign minister was set to meet with top diplomats from Britain, France, and Germany today in Geneva, Switzerland. Here's Ambassador Daniel Meron, permanent representative of Israel to the UN. He's in Geneva, and he speaks on Iran's targeting of the Soroka Medical Center in Israel.
Soroka Hospital is famous for treating the Muslim community in the south of Israel, the Christians, the Jews in the south of Israel, the Bedouin community. There are also many doctors who are Bedouin and Christian and Muslim and Jews all working together peacefully in coexistence.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, a Fairview man has been charged after a tense standoff earlier this week. Williamson County Sheriff's Office deputies arrived at a residence on Fairview Boulevard about 6:30 in the evening after receiving a domestic disturbance-related report. The individual at the scene was Robert Sorrell, 50 years of age, who fled from the scene in his vehicle and proceeded to drive into an officer. Deputies say Sorrell then waved a gun at him and locked himself inside his vehicle. After de-escalating the situation, police were able to take him into custody. He faces charges of aggravated assault, assault on a public servant, and a contempt of court charge. His bond was set at $83,000. And a growing number of frustrated Bonnaroo attendees are calling on Live Nation, the producer of the event, to issue full refunds following what many are describing as a disastrous festival experience marred by extreme weather, poor communication, and just overall mismanagement. There's a petition right now floating around on change.org demanding a 100% refund. It's already amassed more than 5,000 signatures. The signees citing long delays, unsanitary conditions, and the last-minute cancellation of major acts is their key grievances. Attendees also describe being stranded in their vehicles for hours and receiving little to no guidance from festival organizers as plans fell apart. As of now, Live Nation, they've not publicly commented on the refund request. That is the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Now, given the circumstance with
$9:37, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen to us anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us. We're on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Our personal favorite is YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends on whatever platform you're watching or listening. It helps us create that larger digital footprint for the radio station and, helps us further our goals, getting you the best possible information, guests, and more. So do it for us. We appreciate it. Israel and Iran. Donald Trump said within 2 weeks he's going to make a decision. But yesterday, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who was the director of intelligence for U.S. Central Command, overseeing intelligence in the Middle East, including Iran, he's urging Trump and J.D. Vance to hold back from striking Iran. And Lieutenant Michael Flynn, he sat down with Benny Johnson yesterday on the Benny Show and had this to say.
J.D. Vance is somebody who is advising the president, is in his ear, and is in these meetings. Seems to be a very steady hand. Would you advise the president? What would you advise the president right now, given the circumstance with Iran? Would you advise him to strike Iran right now?
No, I wouldn't. I would wait to. The one thing that I know about warfare is that I can tell that the Israelis are on a very methodical and determined campaign, military campaign with a series of objectives, a series of phases, and they're likely into well into their second phase of this operation, of this campaign, from a military campaigning perspective. So I would not. I would. It's kind of like in warfare, Benny, the best plan has the most options right up to the last possible minute. So the president has to have all the options available. And if he decides to use them, he needs to know, when I make that decision, how long is that going to take to implement? When I make that decision, how long is that going to take? So he's got to have the timing and the sequencing and all these kinds of things in mind, and people around him.
It does seem like Donald Trump is leaving his options open, and it does seem like he's showing a lot of restraint. So maybe what Michael Flynn is advocating for here is something that Donald Trump is already doing. To his point about Israel, again, the New York Times reported yesterday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel said on Thursday that Israel has the capability to achieve all of its goals alone when it comes to Iran's nuclear facilities, and that it is up to President Trump if he wants to join in or not. But I'll repeat that first part. Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel has the capability to achieve all of its goals alone. If that's the case, and Benjamin Netanyahu is nailing it, and he's on point, and that's the truth, 100%. Why are we advocating for offensive involvement? Why are we advocating for regime change? Why is that still going on? It doesn't seem like it needs to. General Michael Flynn, he says, please show some restraint, keep the options open, and have all the options available.
So I don't think right now is the time. I don't think right now is the time. I do, as I look at what the Israelis are doing, because Israel doesn't want army divisions and boots on the ground. You know, what we all want. I want the Iranian people to rise up. And guess what? For those, because they'll listen to this, Benny. The Iranian people know that 50 years of existence under a dictatorship. The other aspect of what Trump's got to think about, and this is where J.D. Vance comes in very handily, it's to continue to pull on the president to make sure that he doesn't lose focus of why he was elected president of the United States. Back to something that you said, a while back there about where there's a nuclear weapon right here in this country right now, right? I mean, and there is. So I think that those steady hands around him, and I would say that Trump's probably one of the most steady because of the kinds of things that he's done. There are times when I felt like, God, I wish Trump would just, do this right now, something that he could have done inside the country, right? And that has to do with accountability, but another day. Because right now, the steadiness that he requires are those options that I just, we've talked about, and he needs to know the timing and the sequencing. So right now, I would say hold. I would say no, just hold on that option. Let's see how the Israeli campaign continues to unfold, and let's see what the world is going to do, because NATO is going to try to pull Trump into the war in Ukraine, and what are we going to have? I mean, that's nuts. That's
It is. So General Michael Flynn, his advice is just hold and wait and see how it plays out. Susan, who's north of the border, Kentucky. Susan wants to weigh in on Iran. Thanks for holding, Susan. What's up?
Hey, so I appreciate your broadcast always, and I don't think we ever need to worry about Israel. We do need to be aware of Ezekiel 38 because many biblical scholars say this looks like the intro to Ezekiel 38. In regard to the people, of Iran and regime change, we know that doesn't work, from Hussein and who is the other one? Gaddafi, they killed him.
Yep,
and,
you could, yeah.
Right.
Over and over, we've learned that.
My neighbors left Iran in 79 during the revolution and barely escaped. And the Shah is beloved. Now his son would take over, and the people of Iran have already endorsed him. And have you read about they're in communication with the Shah, telling him, be ready?
That's nuts.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I mean, to me, it's an answer to prayer for the Iranian people. It looks like God has heard their prayers because they have been so oppressed for so long, And, Mike Huckabee sent a really interesting message to Trump, and he pretty much said, listen to one voice, and he meant from a divine inspiration. Don't listen to people, listen to one voice. And, I trust Mike Huckabee over there in Israel because he's a praying man and he understands Scripture. And he understands supporting Israel. He understands we do support them. The entire world, nations are blessed because of Israel. That's Genesis 12, right? So in the end, we see Israel does stand alone. So I don't know where America is at that point. But let me tell you something. I know you're sensitive to this because you have young children and you don't want a war.
Yep, exactly.
I have 6 boys among me and my 2 sisters that are current military fighting age, 21 to 34.
Well, God bless them.
So trust me. Yeah, I don't want my boys involved in this either, because, this looks like close. But I don't think within 2 weeks, with Trump, whether he does it sooner or at the end of 2 weeks, the Iranian people are rising up, and the Shah has been in contact, and they're going to make their own regime change.
Yeah, well, and that's up to the people there. That we can't be involved with that. That's got to be on them. And I appreciate your call and the insight. But what worries me is that you do have these neocon voices who are still calling for regime change. So while Trump is showing a measured response, he's taking his time. I appreciate that. All the options are on the table. I get worried when I hear guys like Senator Tom Tillis say things like this.
Time for regime change. And I believe that this president should be given a fair amount of leeway to affect that. It's time for regime change.
Yeah, it's time for regime change. Okay. How did it work in Libya? How did it work in Iraq? How's it worked in Syria, Afghanistan? Let's go down the list. We don't have a strong track record of it. If the people want to do it, That's on them. But I also don't want it to be a people revolution, air quotes, where it's really a CIA-funded black op behind the scenes where we're installing our own people, because that never works out anyway. That's actually the reason we're in the mess in Iran now. We didn't like the commie-ish leader, the guy that was more of a commie in the 50s. We overthrew him with the Shah. Then the people came in. They didn't like that. They overthrew, and then we got the Ayatollah. So we're in the land of unintended consequences because of our last regime change in Iran. So, luckily we do have some voices out there who are telling the president, chill. Israel can handle that. We should be patient. One of those voices, a guy like Josh Hawley, and he said that on CNN yesterday. Israel can handle this. We need to be patient, and we need to take a deep breath.
It's a very different thing, though, for us to then say, but we are going to affirmatively go strike Iran or insert ourselves in the conflict. That to me that's a whole different matter. I'd be real concerned about. But I don't think there's a need for us, the United States, to affirmatively insert ourselves. I mean, I think that is a whole different kettle of fish.
Iran.
Yeah, that's a different horse. That's a horse of a different color, us inserting ourselves. Let Israel handle it. That's Josh Hawley. That's his take. Listen, I'm much in favor of letting Israel do what they need to do. Similar to October 7th in Palestine, do your thing. I really don't want to be involved. I really don't. You guys can handle it. You have a strong military. Handle it. Please, by all means, carte blanche. But I don't want our bases, I don't want our troops involved in it. Defensively, shoot some missiles out of the sky, share some intel, sure. But that's about as far as I want to go, because everything else makes me a little nervous. It looks like another 20-year quagmire. Not a fan of that. Kash Patel domestically has increased monitoring on Iranian sleeper cells and possible Iran-backed cells in the U.S. This is something that a lot of people have been nervous about. If we do get involved, do they activate Iranian sleeper cells? And maybe Trump is going to get involved, but part of that we're gonna let you know within 2 weeks is we need a bit of time to track individuals that are inside the country right now. So CBS has the report. As President Trump is contemplating these potential strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, law enforcement officials have stepped up surveillance of Iran-backed operatives in the United States. Multiple sources have told CBS. FBI Director Kash Patel has increased efforts to monitor possible domestic terrorist sleeper cells linked to Hezbollah, a U.S.-designated foreign terrorist organization backed by Iran. You guys are familiar. Since Israel's Operation Rising Lion began earlier this month, U.S. officials have said. However, both the White House and the FBI have declined to comment. The threat from Iranian operatives has worried current and former administration officials since the Iranian General Qasem Soleimani was assassinated on Trump's orders in January 2020. Late last year, federal prosecutors charged an operative of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and 2 U.S.-based people with plotting to surveil and assassinate critics of the Iranian regime. The IRGC operative allegedly told investigators he was pushed by unnamed IRG officials to plan an attack against Mr. Trump. So we've been worried about that kind of an attack for years, honestly, because of the wide open southern border by Joe Biden. We've been waiting for another shoe to drop on a larger terror event in this country. Kash Patel is stepping up and monitoring that situation. Dan in Nashville, thanks for holding, man. What do you got?
Hey, Chris, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a first-time caller. I wanted to talk to you about this Middle East thing and Iran and Israel. And I want to say this, Chris. This is all about Islam from start to finish, from beginning to end. This is about the religion of Islam. And if we treat Iran as just another country while ignoring their religion, we're infidels. According to them, we're stupid infidels, because we need to understand that the Quran commands Muslims to attack and kill the infidel. And you and I I'm a Christian. I know you are too. I'm a conservative. But we say, well, maybe they'll change if we be nice to them, like George Bush tried to do, like Obama tried to do. Let's just be nice to them, and maybe they'll change. It's just these fundamental crazy ones that take their religion this way. No. This is Islam from start to finish. And so what is the solution? Well, if they go into talks, these Iranians, I believe I'm right about this, are Shiite Muslims, and in the Quran, it's one of the surahs, they are allowed to lie if they find themselves on a footing that's, weak or vulnerable. They're allowed to lie, and they will lie. And the only solution, the good lady from Kentucky said, if somehow the people could rebel and throw off this government, because this government is run by is Muslims who are Islam, who go by the Quran, and Sharia law is above any other law. That's my comment, Chris.
So you want to go full holy war on this?
No. I'm with you. I don't want a quagmire, and I don't want them to have the nuclear weapons. But Chris, why do we have quagmires in Iraq, in Afghanistan? Why? Because we were stupid infidels. We don't understand Islam is not going to change. For them to change their law would be like you and I saying, well, let's change one of the 10 Commandments. Let's take this one out. We'll relax that one.
No, I hear where you're coming from, and I don't think Islam is compatible with the West on any level. That being said, I don't want our troops in the line of fire with this.
I said that. I'm not saying that's either. I'm with you. I don't want that. But you're not addressing what my point is. My point is we are not treating this about Islam. This is Islam. Now, I'm not saying all Muslims believe this way.
So, but
no, some people call themselves Christians, but they don't necessarily go to church or even read the Bible.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair.
There are many Muslims.
But you said that this. So in your subject line, it says that you have the solution for the Middle East. So what's the solution?
The solution is for the people to overthrow them, and we need to concentrate on that if we can.
Okay.
I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want a quagmire. But the only way we can understand this is to treat this as the problem is Islam from the beginning of this thing to the end. It's the same problem we have with Gaza. Same very problem.
Well, Dan, thanks for the call, man, and I appreciate your opinion. 615-737-9986, 10:05. Monica Paige is going to join us live from the White House North Lawn. They've had a busy week at the White House, and we'll do that on the way. Hang out with us. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is June. The summer temperatures are here, and they're not going to go anywhere. Is your AC system working the best way it can be? Have you got it serviced yet? If you haven't, you're waiting for a problem to pop up. Don't do that. Call Busy Bee today. Get your system serviced. Do you need a new AC unit? If you do, call Busy Bee today. If you buy one from Busy Bee in June, you could win a free three-day beach getaway. That's right. You buy the AC unit, you're entered to win a 3-day vacation where Busy Bee will handle the gas, the lodging, 2 meals a day, all on them. They'll announce the winner on Facebook. Maybe you don't need an AC unit. You can still save some money with Busy Bee today. Free package upgrade on air duct cleaning, $500 off select tankless or upright water heaters, 15% off whole home drain repipes, $99 for a full drain video inspection, and more and more and more. You need to call Busy Bee for satisfaction guaranteed. It's 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. These are the guys that I trust. You can trust them too. BusyBeeHVAC.com.
Good morning. It's 10 a.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. And we've got a hot weekend in store. We'll have that forecast here momentarily. Country music star John Rich tells WTN's Matt Murphy show he's close to getting President Trump involved in the fight to keep TVA from building a massive methane gas plant in Cheatham County. Rich says he recently invited TVA Senior Vice President and Chief of Government Relations Justin Meyerhofer to his home to discuss alleged intimidation of an elderly Cheatham County resident by TVA agents.
I said, I really don't want to have to call him. I think this should be handled between us. Get out of the county. But if you're not going to get out, man, we're going to make that phone call and we're going to run you out through the president. Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell him he needs to fire every last one of you.
TVA has filed lawsuits against residents, and a federal judge has allowed agents to enter the properties to conduct surveys. AAA is out with some holiday travel data. Yeah, July 4th is coming up. We've got more now from Will Ree with ABC.
AAA predicting an all-time record number of people, over 72 million, venturing at least 50 miles from home, with a record 5.84 million flying to their destination. That's up almost 1.5% from the same period last year. And if flying or busy airports aren't your thing, prepare for company on the roads. A projected 61+ million people traveling by car. That's almost 1.5 million more people driving than did so last year.
Now let's turn to this morning's money news. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They're online at beaconcm.com. With this morning's news, here's Jim Ryan.
After little movement Thursday, stocks were poised to end the week on the downside, with futures overnight pointing to a lower open. The Dow Jones fell 44 points yesterday to close at 42,172. The S&P slipped a fraction. The Nasdaq gained 0.1%. Asian shares edged up overnight as fears of an impending U.S. attack on Iran are eased. The White House is expected to decide in the next 2 weeks whether the U.S. will get involved in the Middle East conflict. Canada's Prime Minister is floating the possibility of new tariffs on American steel and aluminum if the two countries can't reach a trade deal in the next 30 days. Earlier this month, President Trump hiked U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum to 50%. Some ready-to-eat chicken fettuccine Alfredo meals sold at Kroger and Walmart are being voluntarily recalled after a nationwide listeria outbreak. The Home Chef pasta products have been linked to 17 illnesses, 3 deaths, and a miscarriage.
That is the latest news. We've got weather on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. It's now time for one of my favorite segments of the week with one of my favorite people that we have on the radio. And I'm not the only one that shares this opinion, but Monica Paige, she's loved and she's revered by all, including the Big 47.
I like you. Who are you with?
Turning Point USA, sir.
Well, they're very good. Turning Point. Charlie, very good. That's what I call a good question, fellas. 1 out of 10, John. 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. It's time for Behind the Fence with Monica Paige.
It's amazing.
Monica, how are you? You've had a busy week, have you not? Is Monica there? Check, check, check. We got Louie producing, so we're working through some of the kinks. Monica, are you there? Can she hear us? Just double check and see if that Zoom is muted on one of those computers, because then that might mess things up. Is it? Monica, check, check, check. We back? We got her? We're just working through some kinks here. No stress, no stress. And everything's in program 3 and 2. Check, check, check. Well, Monica Paige, I mean, if you're watching on the stream, you see Monica standing there, and she's looking great. She's just waiting to be able to hear us. Don't worry, we're going to get this here momentarily. I'll play this full Trump clip from Monica as we kind of get that ready to go. This is Donald Trump and Monica Paige earlier this week inside the White House.
Border, you've had record low numbers for the month of May, 95 apprehensions, 0 releases, compared to that of the previous administration exactly a year ago, more than 60,000 releases. What do you attribute that success to?
I like you. Who are you with?
Turning Point USA, sir.
Well, they're very good. Turning Point. Charlie, very good. That's what I call a good question, fellas. 1 out of 10, John. 1 out of 10, but that's a really good question. No, we had record good numbers on the border. And people are coming in, but they have to come in legally. Like some of these guys behind me, they have to come in legally. And if they come in legally, we want them. They have to say they love America, they love our country. And if they can't say that, we don't want them. Thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's how he ends. He says, we got one good question out of 10. The one good question was from our own Monica Paige, White House reporter, she's standing by live at the White House right now, which you may or may not be able to see on the YouTube screen, but we're waiting for Monica to join us. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties behind the scenes here, and then we'll get Monica Paige on momentarily. While we wait to connect with Monica Paige, there's a lot going on with the United States of America and the wars happening around the world.
I have a hard out.
Oh. Hey, Monica, I got you now. What's up? What's up, Monica?
Okay,
sorry about that.
Nobody was talking to me, so I had no idea. But I am here. I'm here at the White House. I could hear you. That's a fantastic quote from the president. That was an amazing segment. And I'm so honored that I was actually getting into the White House on behalf of Turning Point. It was such a great day.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you've had a busy week, and I apologize for the technical difficulties getting you in. We're working behind the scenes on some things, but thank you. But you've had a busy week, and before we even get started, I want to give you some flowers. Monica had a fantastic speech last weekend at Young Women's Leadership Summit with Turning Point USA. She absolutely crushed. And if you didn't see Monica's speech, it's live on Rumble now. Just go search for Young Women's Leadership Summit. So how do you go from crushing at YWLS to then having this kind of a week that you've had where you're standing next to the president while they're installing flagpoles? You're in the Oval Office asking the only good question out of 10. Just run through your week for me. It has been an absolute whirlwind, has it not?
Oh my gosh, whirlwind doesn't even begin to describe it. I mean, we came back from Dallas for the Young Women's Leadership Summit, and then we're immediately thrown in to the new media pool. And, Frontlines and Turning Point, we actually had the opportunity to be in the media pool here among the other reporters, and the other reporters being CNN and The Guardian, if you can imagine that. And on that specific day, Wednesday, we were able to go to the South Lawn and watch the official lifting of the South Lawn pole and the North Lawn one as well. You can kind of actually see it in the background here. That's the very top of it. You can imagine just how massive this flagpole is. It's close to
huge.
100 feet tall. Yeah, and it's gorgeous. I mean, we got to see the actual flag go up. We got to see the pole go up. But when we were on the South Lawn, we got to talk to the president one-on-one. And I actually had a really great spot. I did not plan this at all. I just kind of snuck up kind of next to him, and I was just talking to him like he was my friend. Like, we were talking for a long time. And the president is huge into the construction business, as everybody knows. Before he was president, he was big into contracting jobs throughout Manhattan. And he really loves this kind of stuff. He was walking us through the process of, how the flagpole is installed. And he's very interested in these kinds of things. And it was very interesting to hear him speak about these kinds of things. And of course, asking him all sorts of questions. And then it was a very impromptu later in the day meeting in the Oval Office, and he welcomed the Italian Soccer League here at the White House before their big game, the Club Soccer League here in Washington, D.C. And he took some questions, and I got to ask about the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on who was running the White House during the Biden administration. And that's when President Trump said it was the auto pen. And then I decided to hit him with one more. And it's not the easiest to ask questions to the president because A, it's very intimidating being among all these other reporters. And B, just shouting out a question instead of just kind of like raising your hand is kind of awkward, especially when you're dealing with the president of the United States. And he really loved the border numbers. I mean, of course, all the questions were about the Israel and Iran conflicts overseas. So I decided to spice things up and highlight some wins for the administration and what he does attribute this success to at the southern border, because we had an invasion for the last 4 years. And I was just curious, what does he attribute this to? What does he think of these amazing numbers? So it was a very exciting and very busy day.
Yeah, I mean, you've been rolling like 1,000 miles per hour, and the border numbers have been fantastic. I mean, close to 1 million self-deportations, 0 releases into the country in May, 93% down for illegal border crossings. A lot of wins to rack up, but if you're not paying attention, you kind of miss them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's also really important because when you hear about this news and it's like, oh, President Trump's still negotiating, President Trump might strike Iran, we have to focus on what the president is actually doing. And he doesn't want to go to war with Iran. He wants to negotiate with Iran. And the press secretary just yesterday made that abundantly clear. Trust President Trump. Back in November of 2023, when he was in New Hampshire, he said that peace through strength is not a political slogan. It's his moral duty to make this promise to Americans that we wouldn't go to war. So Caroline Levitt highlighting that exact same sentiment yesterday, saying, trust him, trust this process. And this administration actually has a lot of solid wins. And unfortunately, the media just isn't highlighting them. No,
the media won't because, why make the orange man look good? Now, when we were hanging out at Young Women's Leadership Summit in Dallas, you were like, oh, it's going to be a busy week because President Trump's going to be back from the G7 on Wednesday. Yet we all know that he ended up leaving early, which made your week much busier. What have you heard out of the G7? What's the feeling on the ground about how well it went, given how short he was there?
Yeah, the main takeaway from the G7 summit was that massive trade deal between the United States and the United Kingdom, these massive trade and tariff deals as far as, the imports and exports go. I believe it's going to be around $63 billion in revenue from these tariffs that we're placing on the UK. I think they're about 10% tariffs now as it pertains to United Kingdom. But that was really the key takeaway there. The president really wasn't able to have those closed door meetings. From what I understand, I believe the UK and Australia and the United States were all supposed to come together behind closed doors and continue to discuss these tariffs. But it was kind of very short, but I believe that these conversations with other countries will continue to pick up next week. The president going to The Hague in Netherlands for the NATO summit. So he's got a lot of international affairs that he's got to attend to, and we'll also be keeping an eye on that next week.
A lot of international affairs to attend to seems like the understatement of the century. What are you hearing, maybe not even just the leftist side of the reporters, but the conservative side, as far as the divide that Israel and Iran has kind of created in the base? What's the temperature on the ground at the White House with that?
So in the beginning of the week, I would say it was pretty tense. People here on the ground, we didn't really know where President Trump could be going, what direction he was going to take with this. And a lot of our worries and anxieties were kind of quelled when we had the press briefing yesterday, when we heard from Caroline Levitt herself. And I personally felt a sense of, calm when we were on the South Lawn and we were speaking to President Trump during the flagpole ceremony. And when we were speaking to him, he seemed very calm, cool, and collected. He did not seem like any of this was bothering him as far as maybe his base being split or the tensions with Iran, or that Iran's going to, do something unprecedented. He didn't seem stressed, or he didn't seem like he was in a bad mood. And just his overall demeanor was very reassuring to me, at least. And I think how this administration has been handling it is very commendable, because a lot of people could really get wrapped up in the stress of all of it. Oh no, World War III, the looming fear of Iran is finally coming to a head. But that's not really the case. And I feel like everyone's we can kind of rest easy now. But of course, you'll still have those fear mongers on social media. And that just goes to say, don't believe everything that you see on social media. Trust what's happening inside this White House.
No, and I think one thing that the entire base can agree on is that at least we know it's Trump making the decisions. This isn't the Biden White House where you have no idea who's pulling the strings. Donald Trump is going to be the last man in the room, the last guy at the table, and he'll make the final call. And that's what we voted for him to do. So whatever happens, happens. What are you hearing when it comes to Israel and Iran? Where's the White House today? Are they going to continue talks about this over the weekend? What does the schedule look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we found out most recently that the president is giving this 2 weeks. And so this could be coming tomorrow, or it could be coming during NATO. And it could be any time to make a decision with Iran. So there are conversations happening. The president is having these briefings behind closed doors all weekend. He's having one as we speak right now in the White House. And he'll also be hosting them. He's coming back from Bedminster on Saturday, where he's going to be holding meetings back here at the White House, and Saturday and Sunday before he leaves for NATO. So this is going to be a nonstop process here. We don't really see an end to these discussions anytime soon, but we can kind of expect something happening within the next 2 weeks. And I've been saying this, we're all going to find out together, essentially. So this is something that we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, definitely keeping an eye on. But with this kind of dominating the news cycle, one of my favorite things to ask you is, what are we missing? What are stories that we should be paying attention to that the mainstream media is not covering and that we're not hearing from these outlets?
Yeah, well, there was a big win last night coming out of California. The Ninth Circuit Court, 3-panel judge, including one Biden judge, ruled unanimously in favor of President Trump keeping the California National Guard in California as these anti-ICE riots were breaking out. So it's a very obvious ruling here. And President Trump made it very clear that during his first term, and when he was dealing with those Black Lives Matter riots, that he was going to make sure that he was going to do this right in terms of making sure that law-abiding citizens were protected on the ground. So now this is a big loss for Gavin Newsom, and this is a big win for President Trump. He can keep the California National Guard there and keep law-abiding citizens safe as these crazy protests break out. We've seen them all throughout Portland as well. I'm curious to see if President Trump will label these protesters what they really are, which are actually Antifa, and if he will declare Antifa a domestic terror organization. So these are kind of things that I'm looking forward to for the future, and also something big coming out of the White House that not many people are talking about.
No, nobody's talking about that. I mean, that is a huge win, and one of the biggest failures of the last administration was he almost waited too long. He waited for Waltz to bring in the National Guard. He shouldn't have. He should have done it right away. Right. He waited on January 6th for the National Guard. He should have done it on his own. So he's kind of learning from past mistakes. The one thing that you said, though, that kind of got me a little bit, excited is designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. The LAPD police chief wouldn't even name Antifa during a press conference. Is there a chance that he could be labeling these guys domestic terrorists?
I mean, given what we've seen and given the amount of violence that we've seen, local police can't even handle this. This is all on federal officers. And, these Antifa rioters, they know exactly what they're doing. They're meant to lure in people. They're meant to get a rise out of the public. And this is a direct result of failed public policy, failed progressive policy, failed progressive leadership in these blue cities. This is what happens when you don't have law and order. And President Trump should be taking matters into his own hands, because if we're seeing things like this in these deep blue cities, it's a dangerous precedent that could be set throughout the entire country. Because if Portland's doing it, LA's doing it, we could see more of these starting up in other cities. And this is just the beginning. I know our colleague Jonathan Cho has been covering this.
Yes.
Props to him, for months, and it's nonstop. And he told me this is just the beginning. So if we're going to do something about it, we got to do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like it's turning into Summer of Love 2.0. And right. Jonathan Cho and your colleagues over at Frontlines have been doing a fantastic job job of protest coverage. Everybody should go find Frontlines TPUSA on Twitter and Instagram and follow them for just the latest coverage because you guys are doing big, big things. Monica Paige, you can find her on X at Monica Paige TV. Again, you need to go listen to her speech that she gave at Young Women's Leadership Summit because it was absolutely fantastic. You have had a crazy week. Are you thinking that you're going to get any sleep this weekend?
No, not at all. I'm hoping to because I got to catch up on it, but it's been so much fun and it's always such an honor to be here on behalf of Turning Point USA and be able to bring you guys, what's really happening.
Hey, we appreciate you doing that every week. Monica Paige, find her on X at Monica Paige TV. Thank you again for the time. Apologies for the difficulties a little while earlier, but we appreciate you every week, Monica. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
You too. God bless. It is 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. I talk about these guys all the time. Do you have waterproofing issues at your home? And then, it kind of dries up and you're like, okay, well, the waterproofing issue's gone. It's not. It's just the water dried up. It's actually going to come back when the rain comes back. You see, these small problems at your house are never going to stay small. And with the waterproofing issues, it can lead to big hassles down the road. We're talking mold. We're talking wood rot, foundation issues. You don't need that. What you do need is to call USS today while the issue is still minor. USS has helped over 30,000 homeowners across Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. These guys aren't about sales pressure. They're not sending a sales guy worried about his quota. They're sending an expert worried about your home. So whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, USS is the company to call. They'll stand behind their work and their warranties with guarantees that you can trust. Locally owned, 30 years in the game. There's a reason they've been around this long is because, well, people trust these guys. So if you see the signs, don't wait. Call USS today. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855 for all of your waterproofing or foundation needs. You can find them online, USSTN.com.
Jesus came to earth the first time to save the world. The next time he comes will be to condemn the world and those who have refused to accept him as their Lord and Savior. Christians are co-heirs with Christ and possess full rights as sons and inherit salvation, eternal life, the earth, the kingdom of God, and all things. If you're not a Christian and have wondered about eternal life, God may be drawing you. Accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, for only God can save you.
No matter what I've ever done.
No matter what I've ever done.
No matter what you've ever done.
But what about?
No matter what you've ever done.
Even if?
You are no longer condemned, no matter what you have ever done. Non-cancelable, guaranteed reservation in heaven when you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Learn how now.
Unrest on Lower Broadway in downtown Nashville last night. We'll let you know what that was about. And look out, there's going to be some interstate road closures downtown over the weekend. We'll get you the latest. That's all coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. Chris Hand here, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Louie's producing. Louie, man, you handle these pressure-filled situations really well.
Yeah, man, I was in that fire, but
man,
you
got it. You got it. You are. Yeah, you was crushing, man. Shout out to Louie. Thank you, Monica Paige, for joining the show as always. She is honestly I know she sounds like really sweet and nice on the radio. She in real life, she's really nice and sweet. She's just a great person. Somebody that you'd want to hang out with. She's awesome. Shout out to Monica Paige. We got a lot to cover here on the show, including what she was talking about a little while ago, the riots that have been happening in L.A. Who is paying for these protests? I think that's something we want. We do understand the FBI, the IRS, the L.A. County Attorney, the California Attorney and U.S. Attorney General, they're going to be looking at this. Who's funding these protests? This is a big deal because I think we all know who's funding these protests. It's shadowy leftist groups. And shadowy leftist groups always lead us to one very important figure. That figure is George Soros. I know, and sometimes people freak out when you mention his name. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Don't say his name 3 times in the bathroom with the light off, though, and then flip the light back on because he will be standing behind you. But George Soros, Anna Paulina Luna is now leading a charge to subpoena him. That's right. She puts it, the Sith Lord of the left, Soros. She wants to subpoena him. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna is calling on Congress to subpoena billionaire George Soros, citing his alleged role in funding far-left protests, pushing globalist policies, and destabilizing American democracy. Let's go. Let's go. Now, it's nice that we're going to get George. I think we need to go for Alex, too. We all know his son, Alex, is pretty much the guy in charge now. George is entering his Biden zone as far as age and memory, I would imagine. Alex is running the ship now. Alex Soros, recently married to Huma Abedin, who you may remember as the advisor and friend of Hillary Clinton, the husband of convicted, what did he get convicted for? He got convicted for sexting a minor, Anthony Weiner. Huma was married to him. Now she's married to Alex Soros. Is that an upgrade or is that a downgrade? I guess it depends on who you ask. I think that they all need to be subpoenaed. But right now, Anna Paulina Luna is pushing the charge to subpoena George Soros. Breitbart has the story. She's gaining backup from Representatives Wesley Hunt, who is out of Texas. You might have heard Wesley a few times. He's based. He's an awesome guy. And Lisa McClain, Republican out of Michigan, who have voiced support for the idea during an appearance on The Benny Show yesterday, Benny Johnson's YouTube show. When asked by host Benny Johnson if he supports Luna's push to subpoena Soros, Wesley Hunt responded, "Of course I agree with this. George Soros has been a problem for this country for a very long time, and he has interfered with our elections." Hunt went on to say he's funded Democrats down to the county level in order to flip counties and flip cities. We all know that. And in fact, that's the biggest ROI for a lot of these shadowy leftist figures. That there's a lot more return on investment the lower you go in office. This is why we saw George Soros funding the elections of a lot of district attorneys in these blue cities, because you can destabilize the cities with those lower elected officials in those lower elections a lot easier than you can by influencing the election for a senator or a congressional rep. It's just the reality of the situation, and George Soros figured that out a long time ago. Wesley Hunt went on to say, "We know for a fact that George Soros is responsible for a lot of the mayhem that we've seen happen all over our country. We know he is probably somewhat responsible for the summer of love that we saw take place and ravage our country a few years ago." I think that that's an understatement. There's a lot more to this story, which we're going to cover after the news. George Soros, could he be subpoenaed? We'll talk about it next. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weekend weather forecast is on the way. 3 men are facing charges after a large group of soccer fans organized and took over Lower Broadway, shutting down the road and ignoring police. That all happened last night. According to the arrest affidavits, officers with Metro Nashville Police reported about 400 to 500 people walking together up and down Broadway at about 10:30 last night. The officers ascertained it was a group of soccer fans who organized to rally through a Facebook group and were effectively shutting down Broadway without permission. Efforts to redirect the mob off Broadway and down 2nd Street toward Commerce Street were ignored, and the large crowd continued to march eastward through traffic. Many in the crowd were waving flags and using smoke to block the officers' vision. 3 men were seen shooting off fireworks in the middle of the road, despite police commands to cease doing that. Due to the danger the fireworks pose to civilians on the ground and rooftops, 25-year-old Mohammed Jafar Bakush, 45-year-old Moez Hami, and 27-year-old Hidi Quizladi, they were all placed under arrest. And if you plan on traveling the interstates in and around downtown over the weekend, you might want to listen up. The Tennessee Department of Transportation, they will conduct a full road closure on I-24 from 65 to 40, also known as the Downtown East Loop. That's the section over near Nissan Stadium. Crews from the construction company, they will conduct a full road closure on I-24 eastbound from the 65 split to the 40 merge. That'll start tonight at 8 o'clock and wrap up 5 o'clock Monday morning. The work is needed to resurface I-24. I think we're all in favor of that. And repair some bridge expansion joints. Traffic will be detoured to the West Loop. There will also be lane closures around the airport this weekend on I-40 as they reconfigure whatever they're doing over there. So make note of that as well. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Jesus came to earth the first time to save the world. The next time he comes will be to condemn the world and those who have refused to accept him as their Lord and Savior. Christians are co-heirs with Christ and possess full rights as sons and inherit salvation, eternal life, the earth, the kingdom of God, and all things. If you're not a Christian and have wondered about eternal life, God may be drawing you. Accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, for only God can save you.
No matter what I've ever done.
No matter what I've ever done.
No matter what you've ever done.
But what about?
No matter what you've ever done.
Even if?
You are no longer condemned, no matter what you have ever done. Non-cancelable, guaranteed reservation in heaven when you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Learn how now.
Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You need a water filtration system or a water softener? Of course you do. You get them at betterwater.com. We got King Louie producing. We got Ken Weaver in the newsroom. We got you guys on the phone lines, the text line, and in the YouTube chat. If you need the phone number to join the show, 615-737-9986. That's the same number whether you want to call or text. And hey, if you are watching us on YouTube, we appreciate you, man. Don't forget, we'll have video elements for all of the audio that you hear on your radio. That's just an advantage when you watch us on the stream. So you can kind of see people and their facial expressions and, get a gist of whether these individuals are telling the truth. I'm a big body language guy. Do you read body language?
Oh, yeah.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Sometimes it's fun to see how stupid they look, too.
Or to watch them squirm a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So yesterday, a tweet went out, and everybody saw this tweet, and a couple days ago. Anna Paulina Luna. She is officially leading the charge to subpoena one George Soros. And in questioning what his role was in the funding of the protests and the riots that we saw throughout the country, be it the anti-immigration protests and riots or the No King's Day protests and riots. What's your role? So she's pushing the charge to subpoena George Soros, and she posted a tweet. Louie's going to throw it up on the screen for you if you're watching on Super Talk TV over there on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe. But she said, honest question. Why has Congress never subpoenaed George Soros before? Why am I the first one to bring this up? This should have been done a long time ago. And I agree it should have been done a long time ago. I agree with that statement so much that I think George Soros' time has passed. And if we're going to subpoena George Soros, we better damn well make sure that we also subpoena Alex Soros, which is his son, the guy that's next in line to take on the role of global disruptor, a la George Soros. This is Alex Soros, who recently married Huma Abedin, who you may remember from Hillary Clinton advisor fame, or being married to the sexual pervert, as Donald Trump used to put it, Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner's trying to make a comeback too. I don't think it's going to work. It's definitely didn't work with his wife. She went and married Alex Soros. Weird, but this is gaining a lot of steam now. Subpoenaing George Soros. Wesley Hunt, who is a Republican out of Texas, I think he's pretty cool. All the clips I've heard of him seems like he's pretty based. He was on the Benny Johnson show yesterday, and the Sith Lord of the left, as Anna Paulina Luna put it, George Soros, that came up. Can we subpoena George Soros?
I love putting up this map. Texas is going to gain a bunch of congressional seats. Yeah. That's going to be very good. Florida as well. All of these seats are being depleted from New York and California, and I think this is what's causing the panic. I think this is what's causing this existential crisis that is like really brain snapping for these people, because they're watching their power get whittled away. Now, part of the reason why they needed that open border, and the man who funds the Open Society Foundation that's in favor of open borders, is George Soros. Part of the reason why they're so desperate to keep the criminal aliens here is obviously the census. They're losing power because of the census.
We've detailed that many, many times. Like, even if they say that the newcomers aren't voting, oh my gosh, it's a conspiracy theory. You radical, you alt-right extremist. Why would you even think that? It's already illegal, right? Why would they do that? Even if you subscribe to that logic, the census, they need heads in the district. They need it. We heard. This was like last year, a New York state representative saying, like, I'll take those illegal aliens in my district. We need them for the representation. They're open about this. The census is coming. George Soros funds those open borders, or did until Donald Trump got in office. This is a big deal.
We had Anna Paulina Luna on the other week, and she said she's going to be calling for George Soros to come in. She's going to subpoena George Soros and have him come in and testify. And it's time for him to answer for his crimes against humanity here in this country.
Yep.
You're also on the Judiciary Committee with APL. Do you agree with this?
Of course I agree with this. I mean, George Soros has been a problem for this country for a very long time, and he has interfered with our elections. He has funded Democrats down to the county level in order to flip counties and flip cities.
Yep.
We know for a fact that he is responsible for a lot of the mayhem that we have seen happen all over our country. We know he is probably somewhat responsible for the summer of love that we saw take place and ravage our country a few years ago.
I think it's important to ask, is George Soros the brick fairy? He may be. The reason that the pallets of bricks were dropped off by the brick fairy and all those cities during the Summer of Love very well could be George Soros. He was instrumental in all of that. Is he instrumental in the protests and the riots that we're seeing now in L.A.? I know L.A. got visits from the brick fairy. Was that George Soros? I think that they do need to subpoena him and start asking these questions. But please, don't stop at George. Don't stop at George. Get Alex in there, too.
So when I think about even this map, what it looks like and how the free state of Texas and the free state of Florida are certainly leading from the front, what you have to understand is people are coming to our states and they're fleeing here because these are conservative states that President Trump won by over 10 points. This goes back to them being rudderless. If Trump is the boogeyman, and if he is so bad, why are people fleeing the states that he won overwhelmingly? Why? First Amendment rights. Second Amendment rights, especially in Texas. It's good for business. It's low taxes. You can live your own life freely in these states, and that's why people are coming here. I see a lot of my fellow Texans say something like this, don't California my Texas. If you leave California, don't bring your politics with you. What we are finding out is that Californians that are fleeing California, they come to Texas, and they're voting red.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that in Tennessee, too, but I think one of the fears is that George Soros is going to get involved and fund some of these lower-level elections, and we need to stop that before it happens. Now, it's not just Wesley Hunt. It's not just Anna Paulina Luna that are calling on this. Lisa McClain, a Republican out of Michigan, also backs Anna Paulina Luna's effort to subpoena George Soros. This is what she had to say about it.
One other final thing that was brought up by Anna Paulina Luna. She said, I'd like to subpoena George Soros because he has wreaked havoc upon our nation, our open borders, and we don't want foreign billionaires to be funding the kind of riots that took place in L.A. or the open border or criminality in our elections. Would you be in favor of that? Would you be in favor of a George Soros subpoena?
I would absolutely. Anna Paulina Luna is absolutely not wrong on that, and that's what we need to take a look at. I mean, we have rules of engagement for members of Congress, no different than we take a look at China and their involvement. Why wouldn't we take a look at foreign actors playing nefariously in the LA riots, for example? We need to take a good, long look at that. She is not wrong.
No, and other countries have forced George Soros out before, and the Open Societies Foundation out before. Shout out to Hungary for leading the way in that. They say, we don't want you here. You're funding radicalism. You're funding this communist Marxist ideology. We don't need it. I do hope they subpoena him. I don't want them to stop at George. I think that while George is the most well known, you're going to be missing the mark if you don't get Alex in there and get him on the record too, because Alex is currently in charge. So it's nice. I love the effort to get George, and I would much rather see him enjoy the twilight of his life, the sunsetting, if you will, in a jail cell rather than on a beach. But you do need to focus on Alex, or these problems are going to persist. Sharon in the borough wants to talk about George Soros. What's up, Sharon?
Hey, good morning, Chris.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm so excited that you are talking about the subject, because I have been saying for years, since Obama was in office, that we need to do something about George Soros. And I've been disgusted at how our Congress has done nothing.
Yep.
So, which obviously led me to believe there are not just, there's not just foreign actors involved, there's American Congress actors involved, because there's probably a lot of people in Congress on both sides taking money from George Soros over the years.
Yep, both sides. You're right.
Right, both sides. And they need to be held accountable. I believe that, because they knowingly took money from somebody they know is harming our country, sending invaders. There's, I'm sure, a long list of things he's been involved in. Rick Ferry, for sure.
Yep.
But he uses all those, Democrat leftist groups to funnel his money through and do the actual, deeds. So, but I've just been disgusted at how Congress has done absolutely nothing about him, and how many in Congress on both sides are involved with him, or just turns a blind eye because they've been getting money or have taken money from him at one time, but they know what's going on. This is just so wrong.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right, and I love that you say it's on both sides, because it definitely is. A lot of these reps, they don't care. They want to just get the money. You nailed it. I appreciate the call, Sharon. Thank you so much. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. And it's important to point out this is a both sides kind of thing. If you recall correctly, it was, what was it, back a year ago, 6 months ago, Newt Gingrich was on with Harris Faulkner, and he brought up George Soros and the chaos that he brings to the table. And it was Harris Faulkner on Fox News that tried to shut that conversation down, believe it or not. And this one got swept under the rug real quick, but I never forgot.
Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros's money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
Oh, weird. I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros. Yeah, I think we do. I think the entire Soros family needs to be brought into this. I think the Open Societies Foundation needs to be brought into this. But yeah, it's a both sides thing. We don't need to bring George Soros into this. Okay. Again, Fox News doing Fox News things. Weird. They tried to memory hole that one. Don't let them. Steve in Wisconsin, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Steve? What do you want to talk about, man?
Hey, Chris. Hey, I've just been going around and around about this division here over this Iran-Israeli stuff happening, and trying to just see it from the perspective of both sides and the argument of it all, and I don't want to put anybody on blast as far as Tucker goes and Ted Cruz goes. I'm a big supporter of Ted Cruz, and I like Tucker too, but I think he's coming a little unhinged. I see his point, but I think him and what many others on that side are not realizing is this is not going to be, if we have to intervene, or if we do intervene, this is not going to be some long drawn-out campaign. This is going to be airstrikes and drones, and it's going to be a regime change. Now,
I mean,
what I'm worried about.
That's where you run into the problems, right? Like airstrikes and drones. How many bases do we have near them that could be hit? So you're putting soldiers in the line of fire. Regime change, 90+ million people in a country with 12 different ethnic groups. Who takes leadership after that? It sounds a lot simpler than what you're laying down.
I know. Well, who takes the leadership after that is, I think, a very important factor, because another thing what a lot of people are not realizing is, China is now that Trump has moved carriers in place and we've pushed into the region, nobody cares about really the Iran-Israel war when it comes to Russia, when it comes to Putin, when it comes to China or Xi. Nobody really cares. So the only thing they care about is the interest of what's in Iran, which is that oil. And so would it be in our interest to just sit back and let them completely take advantage of that?
I mean, I have faith that if they take out the nuclear capabilities, which it seems like Israel has pretty much already accomplished, and then we level them with sanctions economically, they're not going to be able to get back to where they were.
Yeah, but we know 100% that Iran's really not that much of a threat to us globally, but we know China is, number one.
Okay,
and,
but if we know Iran is not that much of a threat, like why are we advocating to get involved?
Because of the resources that are inside of Iran.
Okay, when's the last time we invaded a country and kept all the resources?
No, I'm not talking about keeping them. I'm talking about letting them set up their government and creating a deal with us to where if we have to push sanctions in the future against either Russia or China on their energy, on their oil coming out of Iran, then we need to be able to have that power. I believe that would be a serious thing that would factor into us getting involved.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens, Steve, and I appreciate the call as always. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. 1052, this is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, we've got some bridge work over on the eastern split. This is going to be the off-ramp right lane block, 40 downtown to go 40 east. It is stop and go starting at I-24, exit 211. And then in Antioch, we've got a crash with the right two lanes blocked, 24 westbound past Harding Place. It's the first day of summer. And guess what the New York Democratic governor is telling New Yorkers to do today? Details at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is she telling them to protest ICE?
No.
Are you sure?
No. They wouldn't be able to if they take her advice.
Okay. Is she telling them to open their doors to illegal aliens and give them a place to stay?
I'm afraid she might be telling them if they leave their doors open today, they could die.
Oh. It's the congestion tolling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It must be what it is. Ken Weaver's on the way. He's got a great newscast as always. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Got a great text here, 1949. And he said, Chris. That's me, by the way. Chris. Yeah. Chris, which side are you on? Trump or Tucker? Just a question because I know they are having disagreements. I don't think it's Trump versus Tucker at all. I don't. I think that you're definitely seeing the base divided. I think everybody's chirping in Donald Trump's ear. But I think it's like the Tucker Steve Bannons of the world versus the Mark Levin, Sean Hannity's of the world. There's two camps. There's the stay out of it. There's the regime change. I think Donald Trump is listening to both. I think Donald Trump's strength right now is the unpredictability. We have no idea which way he's going to be going. As far as Tucker goes, he did say that Tucker called him to apologize the other day. And I think he was apologizing for how much he roasted Ted Cruz. But I think it was a matter of kind of what I do with my kids. It's not really what you said. It's how you said it. And I think Tucker understood that and said, I probably shouldn't have gone as hard as I did. But I don't think Tucker's changed his mind or his position. And I don't think any of the neocons have changed their mind or their position. So really, the decision is going to be at the desk of Donald Trump. What does Charlie Kirk think about all this? Well, I'll bring you that audio when we get back. Plus, we'll get to more of your phone calls. I see Mike and Deb both hanging on the line. We'll get to your calls next, guys. It's 11 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories on this first day of summer. We'll tell you all about how hot it's going to get during the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now, drivers, I got to tell you about a big problem on 24 westbound in Antioch. It's a crash blocking the right two lanes. It's just past Harding Place, and it is backing things up for at least a mile, if not more. Also over at the eastern split, we've got some bridge work that is blocking the off-ramp right lane from 40 downtown eastbound to 40 east. It's traffic stop and go starting at I-24 there downtown, exit 211. The first day of summer, and New York Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul is telling people, don't go outside.
The best way is to stay safe, to stay indoors with air conditioning. This is not the time to start training for the marathon, okay? Stay indoors. You'll get back on your normal schedules. Life will return, but this is a critically important week to be smart for you and your families.
Aren't these the same people that say turn down your AC to save money on energy?
Yes.
All right, just checking.
Anyway, lots of people getting ready to head out for the 4th of July holiday.
AAA predicting an all-time record number of people, over 72 million, venturing at least 50 miles from home, with a record 5.84 million flying to their destination. That's up almost 1.5% from the same period last year. And if flying or busy airports aren't your thing, prepare for company on the roads. A projected 61+ million people traveling by car. That's almost 1.5 million more people driving than did so last year.
But if you're in New York, don't leave today, because you heard Governor Kathy Hochul.
Bingo.
Last night in Nashville, Soccer fans are here for the FIFA Club World Cup match at Geodis Park tonight. Well, last night, hundreds of them took over Lower Broad, about 500 of them marching up and down Broadway. Police arrested 2 of them after fireworks were set off within the crowd. 43-year-old Moaz Hami and 25-year-old Mohammed Bakach. Reports say the march was organized by soccer fans on social media.
Have we confirmed if Chad Benson was in attendance? He's the only soccer fan I know, and I have no idea where he was last night.
Well, I'm going to take a real hard, close look at this video.
We're gonna look at that during the break for sure.
We're gonna find this out, brother Chris. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial, and you can watch the show, Super Talk TV. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube chat. They're always engaged in a dynamic discussion over there. So join the conversation, either on the phone lines, the text line, or in the chat. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends, whichever way you're listening. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys ever watch Bar Rescue?
Oh, yeah. They're in Murfreesboro.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if this was like news or if somebody was leaking information to me. They're filming in Murfreesboro tonight.
I don't know which bar it is, but I watch John Taffer.
Is it still him?
I believe so.
I love it. He gets angry.
He does, man.
So they're saying it's going to be at the 615 district on Church Street, the old Shoney's.
You ever been there?
No, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it has. You could have the best bar right there. You know what I mean? I think that one's going to boil down to location, man.
Yeah. Strangely enough, there is a really good restaurant there. I don't know about the bars there. I've seen the bars there along Church Street.
I get a little nervous just because you got all the motel people that live in the motels full time. They're in walking distance.
Yes. A lot of motels there.
No disrespect, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just
yeah,
it gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
It's a little dicey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Well, if this place is having John Taffer come in to help them, they must have started off bad because I think that Shoney's was up and running up until a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? I mean, I don't know, but
so is tonight the bar's stress test?
It might be the stress test.
Tonight's the stress test?
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of do want to go. I don't drink.
Just start like ordering outrageous.
I need 17 old fashions.
But only 2 pieces of ice.
Yep, 1 cherry in each.
One an inch in diameter and the other one a half inch.
Yeah, that's it.
And if I don't get what I want, I'm telling John Taffer. And by the way, I'm going to wrestle your manager in the parking lot.
I wish I knew that they were here. I would have tried to get that guy in for an interview.
It'd be great.
I'd like to see him bar rescue the show. You know what I mean? Like, tell me all the things I'm doing bad.
Dude,
can we bar rescue the show?
He would have everybody out in the parking lot giving us a dress down.
Oh, I don't know if there's a good history for bar rescue in Murfreesboro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of our guys over at Busy Bee, Nathan, just texted me. So they've already been to Murfreesboro.
Yeah, they have.
They did Borough Bar, which is where Party Foul was. It went bankrupt soon after they were there.
Dude.
And they did MT Bottle on South Church Street going out of town, which is now a Domino's. Is this the kiss of death for 615 District, or is third time the charm?
Oh, we're going to find out, man.
We're going to find out. Yikes. All right, a couple people waiting on the line. They do want to talk about Iran and Israel. John Tapper could fix that. You think? Send him in to negotiate.
Yeah, send John Taffer in there.
This country sucks.
As soon as I get back from Murfreesboro.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Deborah in Smithville. What's up, Deb? How we doing?
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about the football hooligans in downtown Nashville.
Yeah, I think. Listen, we're gonna interrogate Chad Benson.
Yeah.
But I got a whole thing here. I wrote down. I looked up Tennessee Code 39-17-307, obstructing and disobeying, and a bunch of the earlier ones are misdemeanors, but it's a Class E felony if it prevents emergency vehicle access. Period. Full stop.
So
First Amendment does not protect illegal obstruction on public roads, endangering public safety.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all. That's the answer.
We're gonna give Chad the business. Don't worry.
They should have arrested way more than 2 people.
All I know is that he loves soccer, and I don't believe he wasn't there. Thanks for the call, Deborah. Well, no matter what he's saying, I'm going to place him at the scene. All right, so people are going after Murfreesboro now. Somebody wanted me to tell you, Ken, that there's midget wrestling across the street from 615 District by the Cracker Barrel. I said, what?
Well, that's my speed.
Yeah, I'm with you. Me and Ken have plans now. John Tapper also did Champies in the Borough. Did Champies? Champies is still around.
Champies is good stuff.
Yeah. And then somebody said Party Foul sucked, and I disagree.
I liked we had a good experience there up until our last experience.
Oh, no.
Chris.
Oh, no.
Something changed because the service was horrible. Like, nobody was cleaning tables. And the staff, they were just all huddled around that little front desk area where you pay.
Not a fan.
And we just got up and left.
I do love the hot chicken poutine, and that's something I'm going to miss.
Yes, sir. That was my favorite dish there.
So good. So good. And then the guy about midget wrestling texted back.
Yeah. What he
said, yeah, no joke. Little Mania, once a month.
Really?
Yeah,
so
dude.
It's real.
I don't know why they don't advertise.
Oh, I thought he was just making fun of how short I am.
Dude, we need to lobby to be like Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler for that, Ken. Me and you.
I want to be Jim Ross.
Let's go. I'll be the king. I'll take on the king. It's a slobber knocker. We could do it. We could do it so good, Ken.
Oh, man.
I would do it. All right, so there is some serious stuff to talk about, but we got one more caller that wants to weigh in on the soccer stuff. I don't like these hooligans. I'm not a fan. I think that they need to be banned from downtown Broadway. I don't think they should be allowed to show soccer in Broadway. Just after what we saw, the devastation caused last night, I think we need to get rid of soccer altogether. I think that's fair, right? We can't let a repeat of last night happen again. Luke is in Bedford. Do you also agree that we should ban soccer from everywhere in downtown on Broadway?
Absolutely ban it from downtown on Broadway. And where did the answer that they're soccer fans? Where did that come from?
How do we know that they're soccer fans?
It was organized. It was organized on social media.
Yep. So Chad was tweeting about it.
And they were carrying flags for some of the teams.
All right. Well, can y'all repeat the 3 names of the individuals that were arrested?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
I know one suspect is at large. He's bald. He's got a gray beard.
That's right.
A lot of tattoos. They're looking for him.
And he's actually named after a country by the name of Chad.
Yeah. But so you got
watch out, that's in Africa.
you got the three arrested, Ken?
Yeah, there's 2 arrested.
Okay.
43-year-old Moez Hami and 25-year-old Mohammed Bukuch.
Bukuch. What about the 45-year-old? That was an older gentleman. Y'all said earlier.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Chad's older than 45.
Yeah, Chad's up there.
Don't worry, we're going to interrogate him, Luke. I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
I had to look up that.
Have a good time with him. Give him a high five and a headbutt when you're done with him.
All right. Did all the Party Foul locations close? People are asking.
Yeah, well, the one in Murfreesboro.
I know
did.
the one in Murfreesboro did, and I think the one that was out by King's Dining and Entertainment in Cool Springs is closed as well.
Now there's one open over here, just down the way from us. The party, it's on Division Street.
That's
but
right.
I don't know exactly what.
And that one is that one still open?
Still open, man.
All right, good. We might need to go for a hot chicken poutine.
Hot
date.
chicken poutine.
Let's do it. All right, so Israel and Iran. Charlie Kirk had this to say about President Trump and how he's dealing with both sides of the argument.
I have defended President Trump at every single corner on social media against some of these weak newcomer buyers that are trying to throw President Trump under the bus. You have to understand, President Trump is playing a very complicated game. Number one, President Trump has been remarkably consistent for well over a decade. Iran will not get a nuclear weapon, period. He said that repeatedly. He said that at campaign rallies and interviews.
Yep.
This is not a shock, and this is not a surprise. President Trump has also been critical, though, of the land of sand and death, as he called it, the never-ending wars in the Middle East that send our time, our treasure, and our troops into conflicts where we're trying to change the hearts and minds. And so President Trump is navigating this beautifully. And also understand there are some people like Lindsey Graham and James Lankford who are calling for regime change in Iran. Iran is a once great power. This was Persia. This is a very proud country. It's a big country. It's 2.5 times the size of Texas, 92 million people. So President Trump has to weigh all of this. He has earned our trust, and I believe he's going to bring this to completion for the betterment of all Americans.
I mean, you look at the poll.
Yeah, listen, I do. I trust Trump on this. I love the unpredictability that he's bringing to the table. You know where I stand. I don't want boots on the ground, and I don't want to be offensively involved in this war. That being said, from a negotiating standpoint, Donald Trump can't reveal all of his cards, and I think he's been playing this perfectly. I really do. And saying, you got 2 weeks, come to the table, or you're gonna F around, and you're gonna find out, I think is the right move. Now, as we continue down this road, we do have a lot of individuals who are calling for regime change. We have Lankford out of Oklahoma. Lankford, who you may remember from the bipartisan border bill. If that wasn't enough to end his career, now he's advocating for regime change in Iran. We also had Senator Tom Tillis come out for regime change. We have Lindsey Graham, he's never met a regime. He didn't want to change. He's been salivating at the mouth, frothing for months when it comes to this war. So Donald Trump is navigating this very, very well. He's not giving an insight into his position, and he's being very restrained because you do understand that these voices in his ears, these neocons, they want that war. They've been dreaming about this war. They've been dreaming about it for decades. Make no mistake about it. And so far, he's been able to put those voices aside. And we understand that no matter where he lands, the decision is going to be his. That's comforting. That's comforting. Steve Bannon visited the White House yesterday. And he said, the majority of MAGA, they're going to get on board with this, whatever he decides. And I tend to think that that's true. Like, I'm still going to support President Trump. I don't want a long quagmire, and I don't think he's going to get us into one. That being said, this could still get messy. It could still get hairy, and I don't want to advocate for regime change. That doesn't stop a lot of Republicans from doing the same. Again, you got guys like Senator Tom Tillis out there who's pushing for regime change. You got guys like Josh Hawley on the other side who says, Israel should just finish the job. This was Josh Hawley yesterday on CNN. And after Josh Hawley, you'll hear Senator Tom Tillis calling for the exact opposite of what Josh Hawley's calling for.
It's a very different thing, though, for us to then say, but we are going to affirmatively go strike Iran or insert ourselves in the conflict. That to me that's a whole different matter. I'd be real concerned about. But I don't think there's a need for us, the United States, to affirmatively insert ourselves. I mean, I think that is a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, it is. It is. But some members of the GOP, huge fans of it. Senator Tom Tillis.
Iran has for years have spent billions of dollars funding Hamas, Hezbollah, and terrorist cells all around the world. It is time for regime change. And I believe that this president should be given a fair amount of leeway to affect that.
Oh, this president should be given leeway for regime change. Again, I think that this sounds over simple. Like these guys are making it seem way too simple. And we don't have a track record of successful regime change pretty much anywhere in the world. Now, to their point, and to Josh Hawley's point, he says Israel should be able to just finish it. Benjamin Netanyahu said on Thursday that Israel has the capability to achieve all of its goals when it comes to Iran's nuclear facilities. So I'm not sure what the conversation is anymore. Just let Israel handle it. Let Israel handle it. And we did hear that Trump is going to have a decision within 2 weeks. Carolyn Levitt made that point yesterday at the press briefing, saying, listen, this is a message directly from the president, which is refreshing because we can believe that it is from the president, not some shadowy advisor who's writing statements for him in a back room and Joe doesn't know exactly what's going on. We know that this statement is from President Trump officially giving Iran 2 weeks' notice.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
2 weeks notice. We'll see where this lands. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Are angels real or a figment of the imagination? Angel means messenger. Angel or angels are mentioned over 350 times in the Bible, and because all Scripture is God-breathed, we know that angels are real and were created to glorify and to serve God. When Joseph doubted how Mary became pregnant and that she was to give birth to Jesus, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. "Do not be afraid. The child within her has been conceived by the Holy Spirit." Angels bring God's messages to people. Protect God's people, offer encouragement, give guidance, carry out punishment, patrol the earth, and fight the forces of evil. But there are also bad angels. Satan is an angel of high rank and led many angels in a rebellion against God. Although angels are powerful, they are not to be worshipped. Learn more about good and bad angels by scanning the QR code. Have you ever heard someone say, "I used to be a Christian, but not anymore. After all I've been through, God wasn't there for me"? Here's what the Apostle John said in the early church about false teachers in 1 John 2:19, about those who leave the Christian community. They went out from us, but they were not really of us. For if they had been of us, they would have remained with us. But they went out so that it would be shown that they all are not of us. Essentially, the Word of God is teaching what the true spiritual condition really is of those who walk away from their faith, that they never had true faith in the first place. Their true spiritual status is that of a false Christian. And when I say spiritual status, I mean Christ-like status. People who think they are Christians, thinking they are saved, but actually aren't, either believe in a false gospel or were false converts who never intended to follow God's prompting to accept Christ. There's no such thing as a used-to-be Christian.
Drivers, we've got a lot of issues out there. We still have that bridge work. The off-ramp right lane is blocked, 40 downtown eastbound to 40 east, exit 213. In Sumner County, stop-and-go traffic looks like construction delays, 65 southbound between exits 98 and 97. And in June Lake, Williamson County, a crash in the median, 65 northbound right there at exit 55. And then westbound at 24 past Harding Place in Antioch, you got the right shoulder blocked. Madison, a crash reported now. Broadley Parkway eastbound at 65 north. And Metro Police just put out an update on the search for the illegal immigrant wanted for a hit and run that nearly killed a man here in Nashville. Details at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Now, you know I'm not a conspiracy theorist, Ken.
I know that, brother.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water, LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Not a conspiracy theorist, all right?
No, sir.
I noticed the soccer story wasn't in your tease. I also noticed that during the last break, you had a visit from a certain individual.
I did.
By the name of Chad Benson. And I'm just wondering, is he putting the thumb on the scale of your newscast? I thought you were an award-winning journalist. And he didn't look happy. He's in there, and he looked a little nervous, and all of a sudden, this story just disappears.
Dude, honestly, I'm just afraid to pronounce those names.
Okay. I love you, Ken. A couple people on the line. They're giving us all sorts of options to join in for midget wrestling. And love you guys on the text line. We want all the midget wrestling options available. Is that allowed? Are you allowed to say that? Or is it little people wrestling? LPW.
I just cover the news, Brother Chris.
All right. I just don't want to offend anybody. And then everybody's weighing in on the party foul discussion as well. Donaldson and downtown. Those are the locations.
The only ones?
That's it. 4460 said, damn you, Chris. Now I'm going to think about hot chicken poutine all day. Freaking Canadians.
That is one thing that those folks up there mastered.
They don't do a lot of things right. Poutine's the only one.
Yeah, poutine.
Poutine and sometimes syrup.
That's right.
At times. I'm more of a Vermont guy myself. I understand there's a heavy Saskatchewan contingent, okay? So dumb. So dumb on so many levels. I appreciate you guys listening no matter where you may be listening. If you're listening on the radio, you're listening on an app, or if you're watching us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, hit like, hit subscribe on YouTube. Just a programming note as we kind of start heading into the weekend. All next week, I'm doing the afternoon show, boys.
We're
flip-flopping. B-Dub, that's what I call him. You know him as Brian Wilson. You're allowed to call him B-Dub if you want. He loves it. He's going to be filling in for me. I'm going to be filling in for Murphy. Murphy, apparently, carrying the team, it has taken a toll on him.
Yeah.
And now he's going to get a shoulder replaced.
I told him to switch shoulders.
Right. He doesn't listen.
No.
He should have listened. So you guys are stuck with me in the afternoon drive slot all next week. I'm actually really excited about it. We're going to do nincompoops in the news. We're going to keep that going.
And we're going to have some really cool bumper music.
Oh, we're going to have the best bumper music. And I talked to Murphy, and we're working on a segment that we're going to keep him involved in the show.
All right.
So at the top of every hour next week, we're going to have a medicated moment with Murphy. All right,
this ought to be good.
Just something to look forward to. Just so you know, we don't want you to feel like Matt's not here.
That's right.
Matt's still going to be heavily involved in the creative process. We're going to take all of his ideas with a grain of salt because he's going to be very medicated.
Right.
But we will have medicated moments with Murphy all next week.
We got to come up with some music for
We
that.
do. It's going to be fun. So just as a programming note for you, on the way next, it's the world famous lightning round, which everybody's excited about. Who doesn't like lightning? That's after Ken Weaver's newscast, which starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. It's going to be hot. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police say a $10,000 reward being offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of Tony Lopez Infante. This is the 32-year-old illegal immigrant wanted for the May 18th hit-and-run crash that seriously injured Zachary Carriage while he was trying to cross Church Street. The reward offer good for 1 year through June 19th, 2026. Now, anyone with information about Lopez Infante's whereabouts is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. You can do that online or over the phone. Callers to Crime Stoppers remain anonymous. They qualify for a cash reward up to $5,000. On top of this $10,000 reward offer that is from the National Police Defense Foundation. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled for fuel companies in a long-running legal dispute over California's vehicle emission standards. Here's ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
For more than a decade, California has sought a waiver from the EPA, permitting it to require automakers to further limit emissions in their vehicles and ramp up production of EVs. The Biden administration last affirmed the state's rules in 2022. President Trump and Congress have recently revoked that permission. Now, by a 7-2 vote, the Supreme Court holds that gasoline producers can sue over the regulations. It's a key finding that fuel makers, not just automakers, are affected by California's emission rules and have standing in court.
While on the subject of gasoline, there's some concern about prices amid rising oil prices related to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Here's ABC's Will Reeve with the latest data.
Right now, the average price of gas is $3.20 a gallon, but AAA says summer gas prices are the lowest they've been in 4 years and 24 cents per gallon less than this time last year.
Now, here in Nashville, Gas Buddy put that average here in Middle Tennessee at $2.90 a gallon, up 20 cents from last week. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store. I talk about these guys all the time. I mean, they've become a Nashville institution. I listened to a new hip-hop song the other day, and they were talking about the Glock store. That's how big this place is. And you hear me talk about why it's so great, and I'll give you the reasons why in case you have been asleep when I do these commercials. This is the place for Glocks. They have all the Glocks, both factory and custom. They got the PBGs, that plain black Glock at the lowest possible price. They've also got the factory color Glocks, competition-ready race Glocks, rare and discontinued collectible Glocks, beautiful custom Glocks, and the widely popular Trump Glocks. Those are gorgeous. You need a Trump Glock in your life. You can only get it at the Glock store. They also have the best accessories for your existing Glock. Red and green dot optics, upgraded triggers, extended controls, and the lowest prices on Glock magazines in the entire country. Basically, if it's a Glock or it's for a Glock, they got it at the Glock store. Now, if you've never been to the Glock store or never shot a Glock, here's a great reason to visit. If you purchase a 10-round test pack of 9mm ammo, it's only going to cost you $6.99, and they'll let you test fire any Glock in the rental department, including the Glock 43X, which is the most popular concealed carry handgun in America. This is only happening at my place to go, the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. And if you can't make it to the Glock store, you can always make it to the website, glockstore.com. $11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got our friend King Louie producing. We got Ken Weaver in the newsroom. We got you guys on the phone line and the text line, 615-737-9986. Right now, it is time for the world famous, it's the lightning round. All right, so Louis new to this. This is when we hit the intro bed, Louis. We got it. Yeah. Just for the record, the creative process to make that as cheesy and terrible as it is, it's all my idea. It's just, that was me. That was me. I said I wanted intentionally to sound bad because it's funner that way. All right, so if you got a last-minute hot take, ice-cold take, or something that you want to weigh in on that we've talked about all week, or something that we didn't talk about all week, and you're like, these guys missed the mark, now's your time during the lightning round. to get it in. 615-737-9986. Real quick, we talked about a medicated moment with Murphy. You know, we're going to do that all next week when I fill in for him with Afternoon Drive. And a lot of people started suggesting what songs we should do for the medicated moment with Murphy.
Yeah.
Found the winner.
All
you
right.
ready? Wait for it. Wait for it. Little Dr. Feelgood. That's straight from the Super Text line. They have better ideas than I do, so yeah, that's probably what I'm going to use. That's probably what I'm going to use. All right, so again, any last-minute hot takes during the lightning round, now is the time to jump in. I'm going to run through some stories that we didn't have time to get to, stories that wouldn't fill a full segment, or stories that we need to talk about. First one in the lightning round, everybody got hacked again. Did you hear that? Yep, you did. I did. Everybody.
Uh-oh.
We're always getting hacked. So just in case you're keeping score at home, they have your credit card number. They got your social security number. They have your mom's maiden name. They know what street you grew up on. And that first pet, no longer a surprise. We have the largest data breach in history now. 16 billion, with a B, 16 billion login credentials exposed in databases. Security researchers have uncovered potentially the largest data breach in history, comprising an astounding 16 billion login credentials, which include Apple accounts. I know you Droid users are taking a victory lap on us. I don't care. You still do the green text, and I don't like it. So whatever. Breitbart has a story. 9 to 5 Mac reports that a team of security researchers have stumbled upon a massive trove of stolen login credentials, exposing an unprecedented 16 billion records, including Apple accounts. The discoveries, which researchers describe as one of the largest data breaches in history, has sent shockwaves through the cybersecurity community, and raised serious concerns about the potential for widespread account takeovers, identity theft, and highly targeted phishing attacks. All right. I know. They have everything on you. Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'd be like, you should probably go change your password. But I'm like, they probably got the new one already. Like, they probably are. Like, if they have all the data that they claim they have on you, they probably already figured out your new password.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
They know exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah, they already know. And they know which of us are going to go change it and which of us aren't.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I don't give a damn. I'm probably not going to change it. I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't even care. Like, do you do that? Do you like run and change your password when this stuff happens?
Oh, well,
I'm just like, meh, whatever.
I don't, man. In fact, I don't use very good password policy. You're supposed to have like a different for everything.
Password 123.
Yeah.
You ever see that commercial where she's like, what's your password? And he's like, Nebraska. She's like, didn't work. He's like, try 4th Street. No, it didn't work. He goes, okay, try fish. She's like, the word fish? He goes, no, just cycle through every type of fish. That's probably it. That's probably it. In light of this discovery, experts are urging users to take immediate steps to protect their account and personal information. This includes enabling two-factor authentication, which is just, I hate it. Do you hate two-factor authentication? It's a pain in the butt.
As long as it works. Sometimes, there's glitches and it doesn't work.
I know. I just hate doing extra things. I'm like, ugh. Let me pull out my phone to log in on my computer. It's like, what? It's just a pain. So they want you to do two-factor authentication and use strong and unique passwords for each account. Basically, their security measure is to do everything they already told you to do that you avoided doing. Just for the record. So I'm probably not going to do it. I'm probably not.
I know you're not going to do
like,
it.
Meh. Meh. All right, that's the first story here in the lightning round. I got another one. One of the big stories this week, which is just proof that we serve a loving God and he's going to take care of these kids, was the SCOTUS decision when it came to the ban on transgender surgeries. Carolyn Levitt was asked about it, and she puts a nice cherry on top of what that means for kids across the United States.
The Supreme Court, as you know, has upheld Tennessee's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, etc. The White House reaction to that, please.
That's a huge victory for America's children, and it's obviously something this administration believes strongly in, that young minor children should not be allowed to be subjected to chemical castration and mutilation. The president himself has taken very strong orders, or has signed very strong executive orders on this, and we are grateful for Tennessee's efforts to protect our children, and we are grateful the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the law, but also on the side of protecting America's innocent children.
Yeah, amen. Even Amy Coney Barrett, it was awesome. So they ruled on party lines 6-3. You probably are up to speed on that. But as you get to church this weekend, just sending a little extra thank you up to the Lord for that one. It's a big deal. This is going to have massive ripple effects across the country. So I definitely wanted to cover that during the lightning round in the comments from Carolyn Levitt there. Now, speaking of faith and Christianity, I got another story for you here in the lightning round. The man with the world's highest IQ. Okay, dude, this guy he got the biggest brain. He's got the biggest brain in the world. World's highest IQ. He just declared Jesus Christ is God. Yep, Dr. Young Hoon Kim, recognized as the individual with the highest recorded IQ in history, has publicly affirmed his belief in Jesus Christ, stating that Christ is God, the way, the truth, and the life.
Smart man.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I don't, listen, highest IQ in the world. Obviously, this guy's a genius. I would never classify myself as a genius. So for that reason, I find it pretty cool that I can look at the world's smartest man and be like, hey,
that's right.
Figured it out before you did.
That's right. You're not so smart, fella.
I figured that out years ago. I figured it out years ago. Is that bad or just that was my first thought? Like, I beat you to it. Young Hoon Kim posted on X as the world's highest IQ record holder. I believe that Jesus Christ is God, the way, and the truth, and the life. Kim's IQ has been independently verified by multiple international organizations at 276. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. He is the official world record holder, the world memory champion, and the World Memory Sports Council. All of those organizations, they certified that. And they all maintain a partnership with the Guinness Book of World Records, which, I don't know. I missed the Guinness Book of World Records. They still make those?
I think so.
I remember as a kid being like, this is a big deal when that came out.
Man.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yes.
But he says, world's highest IQ, certified. Jesus Christ is Lord. Beat you to it. Beat you to it. I love that. I wish I could meet him.
Well, good for that guy, too.
That's awesome. Hey,
good for him.
Everybody deserves to be saved, even if you are the smartest man in the world.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad he came to the right conclusion.
Yes, sir.
All right, got another story here in the lightning round. Actually, before we get to the next story, James has been holding real quick. James, you're on the lightning round. 30 seconds, hot take. What do you got?
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment about Carolyn Levitt. Direct quote from the president. All the news agencies are reporting that there's going to be like a 2-week waiting period. Then he was going to make a decision. Her quote actually said he was going to make this decision within 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. That's important.
Could be today. That could be tomorrow.
Yep.
But within 2 weeks, he's not going to wait till the end of 2 weeks and then make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think the further out it goes, the less likely we are to get involved in it offensively. But I agree with you. They said within 2 weeks, so it's the timetable is Donald Trump's to decide, and that unpredictability, I truly believe, is his greatest strength in these negotiations, trying to find peace with this conflict. We'll see what happens. Got another one here for you in the lightning round. This time, Jasmine Crockett. Who Dan affectionately refers to as Jasmine Crockish, and a couple people on the text line have said, Dan, you need to call her Jasmine Crockapoo, but whatever you want to call it, we know she's full of it. Jasmine Crockett, let's hear from her.
The president. I never saw anything in Joe Biden that made me wonder whatsoever, and it's not that I was with Joe Biden every single day, that's for sure. But as I talked about my grandparents. The way that I would describe Joe is
senile. Would you use the word senile? A doddering old man with memory issues that would be too sympathetic for a jury to convict. That's how Robert Hur described him. I would go with senile. I feel like that would be the most nice way I could put it. senile. What does she say? What do you think? How do you think she describes him?
Like, I mean, he's a granddaddy, right? And so, like,
Part of the problem.
You know, the way that my granny was when she was younger versus ultimately kind of where she was at 81 when she ended up passing away. Mentally, she was still there, but, like, her attitude about certain things, like whether or not she was looking to be as polished or cared to be as polished, or even if she moved as fast, it just wasn't there.
Bit of a degraded filter. Is that what she's getting at? Bit of a degraded filter. Yeah, we saw that too when he was sniffing all those kids. We saw that multiple times. Jasmine Crockett, the more that she wants to be front-facing and the more she wants to be the new leader of the Democrat Party, we should allow it because it's good for business. And business is a booming if Jasmine Crockett is going to be leading this Democrat Party. She also called Trump supporters mentally ill for supporting Donald Trump and all that. Carolyn Levitt actually commented yesterday during the press briefing on Jasmine Crockett commenting on Trump supporters. And Carolyn didn't hold back when it came to Jasmine Crockapoo. Let's listen to this.
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness.
Yep.
The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women,
Amen.
business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime, and she can see it for herself.
Yeah, she should. She won't. She won't. She'd rather just besmirch all of middle America, or she likes to refer to it the flyover states. Now, she's going to be one of the new faces of the Democrat Party. She is one of the new faces of the Democrat Party. It seems to me like we have like a trifecta of leadership in the Democrat Party right now, and it's AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and Gavin Newsom. Now, Gavin Newsom has been going a little bit more to the middle. You know, he kind of dialed it back on boys playing and girls sport. But I got another tweet to bring you here in the lightning round from Gavin Newsom, which just reminds you that he is as insane as all of these progressive leftists claim he is. He put out a tweet, and it's a picture of him and his wife. Throw the tweet up on the screen for me, will you? If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the tweet from Gavin up on the screen. It's a picture of him and his wife, and he's wishing her a happy birthday. It's sweet. It's sweet. That's what husbands do sometimes on social media. They, happy birthday. Except somebody caught something that was pretty interesting. He didn't refer to her as the first lady of California. He referred to her as the first partner of California. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Oh, yes.
The first partner.
The first partner.
The first partner.
I'd like for you to meet my beautiful first partner.
That's so dumb. That's so dumb. First partner. They also busted him for doing what he did during COVID. Remember during COVID when he shut down all those restaurants?
Yeah.
And then he was out at the French Laundry getting some dinner.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi was getting her hair done.
Yep. Well, they just found out that during the LA riots, as police were dealing with rocks being thrown at them and they were lighting those Waymo cabs on fire, he was at a wine tasting. No word on if he was with his first partner or not.
Or whether his pinky was out.
Yeah. I guarantee you the pinky was out. Smart money. Smart money says the pinky was out. All right, that's it for the lightning round today. Hey, we're going to check in with Chad Benson when we get back. And this isn't going to be your average check-in.
We're going to get to the bottom of something.
This is going to be an interrogation.
Yeah.
Where were you last night, Chad? We know how much you like soccer. You like it so much that I've heard him refer to it as football.
Football.
I know. We're going to get to the bottom of where he was last night. And where did he get the fireworks? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Chad Benson's going to check in with us next. 11:51, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Metro Police say the reward has grown substantially for information leading to the arrest of the illegal immigrant wanted for a hit and run in Nashville. We'll tell you about it at noon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:58 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. All right, we're not here to joke.
All right. Was not me. Ken's already hit me up. Was I a part of the Ultras last night?
Where were you?
I was watching a movie. We actually rented. We watched Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. Had I known there was going to be fun down there, I would have went. I didn't, because there's a game Tuesday that I know about. I didn't know there was a game tonight.
Where'd you get the fireworks?
Well, I mean, come on, dude. We're in Tennessee, right? This isn't like California where you can't have fireworks. You can't even have the little snails and snakes. No.
I feel like Columbo right now. One more thing before I go.
One more thing. I got to ask you a question.
One more thing before I go. You say you were watching a movie.
Yes. Bloodlines.
What time did the movie start?
We started like 8:30. I went till about 10:15, and then I don't know. My wife woke me up on the couch about midnight-ish.
Oh.
She was out there. I was exhausted. So
it's interesting.
I was a bummer because I would have gone downtown to see the Ultras. I had no idea.
Man, they were chanting and
of course,
singing.
having a good time.
Hooligans. Freddie's been heartbroken about this. We got to deport some of these hooligans.
The hooligans.
Yeah.
So it's LAFC is playing tonight against the champions of Africa. I think they're called something Esperanza Tunisia or something.
Ooh.
So good times.
Are you putting money on the game?
No. If I was going to put money on the game, I'd probably put on. You know what? I'd probably put on LAFC. I think they're going to come and play tonight.
Okay.
So that's it.
Where's the riot going to be tonight?
Depends on who wins.
Okay,
right?
Good to know.
And who loses. But probably downtown's the fun place to go.
All right.
Right? But the difference is when you're downtown and you're staying downtown, you could do that, but the park is far away. So it's not like in Europe where you get off at a bus station or, like a subway and then everybody walks.
Right.
So they're all driving, so it's not going to be the same.
Okay. All right. Well, so just in case you're keeping score at home, Chad denied, but we don't believe that he wasn't there.
That's okay. Totally understandable.
What are you talking about today on the show?
We'll probably talk a little bit of Israel. I hear they just launched some, their jets just took off a little while ago.
Oh.
So big time, headed towards Iran.
Okay.
Probably talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about Ozzy Osbourne and what he is doing, which is hilarious. And 50 years ago, the first summer blockbuster came out, and this new documentary out about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
all right.
I want to talk about that.
While you do all that, don't forget to shore up your alibi.
I will. I'm going to work on that tonight. I'll
get
some pictures somewhere.
All right, perfect. Chad's in next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.